You're not a drop in the ocean, you're the ocean in a drop. There's a significant difference in that, right?
Right.
Yeah. We are everything that God is. We are our own unique expression of God. I love the example of the wave in the ocean, that we represent the wave. We never actually depart from the ocean, right? But every time we come out of the ocean, we express ourselves differently than the next wave, or the wave before us. Each one of us is a unique expression of the totality of God. I love it. Thank you, Michael. That was so beautiful. And speaking of waves, I just have to tell you, I guess did you guys see my video I sent last Sunday?
Yes.
I thought after I sent it, I'm like, should I really have done that? But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I was thinking of you. I wanted to say good morning. I wanted you to know that I was thinking about you and holding you in prayer on Sunday morning. So I did send it. But I saw something I'd never, ever, ever seen before, and I'm still so amazed by it. We were in the Bahamas. I am geographically challenged. I know that the Bahamas is south of us. I understand that part, but I don't really know where I was in the Bahamas. Except I was at a very beautiful place. And we would sail for a few hours, and then we would drop anchor and be there for a day, maybe two, and then we'd sail some more, and we'd drop anchor, and we would be there for a day or two, or maybe more. So once they dinghied in to get us and brought us out to the boat, we were on the boat for 7 days, and it was incredible. And every single day, I would sit on that boat, and I would look at the water in total amazement. I have lived in Florida my entire life, but I've always lived on the East Coast. And when you go to the beach and you see the waves, you see big, miraculous, majestic waves that come up, and they're opaque green, and they've got this beautiful white break on the top, right? These waves didn't look like that at all. These waves came up. It was much more gentle than what I'm used to seeing on my side of the ocean, but
Sorry.
Yay! Okay. They came up, and you could see through them. The water was actually clear. I see people shaking their heads. I have never seen anything like that before in my entire life, and I could not stop staring at it. It looked like, I kept calling it liquid ice, which of course everybody laughed at because that's water, right? Liquid ice is water. But for some reason, it looked different than water to me. It looked magical and almost, I can't even describe it. For those of you who've seen it, I'm sure you understand what I mean, but it was so beautiful, all clear. You could see everything at the bottom all the time, whether it was dark green grass or beautiful white sand, so you would see layer after layer of different color as you looked out on the horizon. And then toward the end of the horizon, you'd see this most incredible iridescent blue that looked like somebody was holding some kind of flashlight underneath it and just shining it as bright as it could be. And all those colors would reflect up to the bottom of the clouds. And so the clouds would have bottoms that were green and blue and dark blue. And you could tell how deep the water was under the clouds by the color at the bottom of the clouds. I was amazed and could not stop staring at it. It was miraculous. And apparently, every time I sat down on the boat and started to gaze at these beautiful water and clouds, I would start to meditate and get calm and relax, and then I'd fall asleep. So the people who owned the boat had a video for me at the end of my stay, for Deb and I, had a video for us that had a tune in the back about sleeping and all that fun stuff. And it was just 2.5 minutes of pictures of Deb and I to sleep in every place on the boat you can imagine. Every day we'd sit down and go to sleep and they'd take a picture of us. So it was wonderful. I'm so glad that I had the opportunity. I feel divinely blessed and abundantly prospered beyond words. And to be able to see something of God that I have never seen before and appreciate it so greatly was such a gift. So thank you for blessing us on our way. I appreciate that. So from Mother's Day to Father's Day, we're doing this little series on healing. It's just for a few weeks, but I was reading truthunity.net. How many of you are familiar with that website? Oh, the students in the room, yay, awesome, good. Truthunity.net, it's a website that's done by a gentleman named Mark Hicks. He's a licensed Unity teacher, and he has done an incredible job of chronicling our history in Unity and putting together all the books you would ever want to know about. He's put together all kinds of lessons from our history. He's put together the best library of Unity history and Unity works that there is today. And wonderful. If you haven't gone out to the website, take a few minutes and do it. You'll just love it. He's done a wonderful job. But he had this little thing on his website before Mother's Day, and he was talking about, healing the inner child. How many of you have done any inner child work? Yay, a few of you, that's wonderful. Inner child work, yuck. Right? I mean, there's no way that you've done inner child work and you go, oh, that was so much fun. No, it's not fun at all. Healing that inner child is really hard work because we walk around with so much woundedness that we pick up as we're young through what we experience, and we try to, put it aside, and then suddenly we realize that it affects every decision that we make as an adult. And that perhaps we really do need to go back and take a look at it and work our way through it. And it's like, yuck. I didn't like it the first time I thought about it. I don't want to do it again. And I remember in my late 20s, I'd be going, do I really have to talk about my dad some more? Really? But yes, really. And it's not even really talking about my dad, right? It's talking about my interpretation of what happened in my life and how I have carried that along with me and let it affect every decision that I'm making now as an adult. So yeah, it's important work. And Mark was saying that it's a really great time to look at that between Mother's Day and Father's Day. And I thought, well, how clever is that, right? To do some inner healing between Mother's Day and Father's Day. It's like awesome. So the first week after Mother's Day, we talked about how our mind is who we are. That we create our reality through our thoughts. Period. Everything that we experience starts as a thought in mind. And then we manifest it in our lives. Right? If you do inner child work, often they ask you to get a picture of yourself, and no, I'm not ready for the picture, but they ask you to get a picture of yourself young. And the one that I got, sweet little picture of myself when I was like 5 years old. I still have it on my shelf. I still look at her and honor her and love her and talk to her. But as time has gone by and I've been doing more work, and as my daughter is getting older, I'm looking more at myself as a young adult, wondering if I could go back to that Roxanne, what would I tell her? What would I say? And nothing has taught me more about how interesting my thoughts of my life really are than experiencing my daughter growing up. When I get to hear things that she tells me back about an experience that she's had, or an experience that we've had together, and it is so totally different than anything I would ever have thought she would have seen, I go, wow, how real were any of the things that I thought I experienced with my parents, right? It's fascinating. Of course, it is real. It is as real can be because it's my experience. But there could possibly be another way to frame it. And I haven't learned that. There's no better lesson, better way for me to have learned that than to watch that with my own daughter. Am I making any sense, or am I kind of wandering around here? Okay. So, for the last few years, I have been admiring a piece of work. Actually, it was originally written by a woman at the Chicago Tribune. She wrote this article, and she says, you know, we all want to do a commencement speech. We know we do. Why don't we all just give it a try? And so she writes a commencement speech in 1997, which an artist, Baz Luhrmann, I always have to, yeah, there we go. How about that? He actually does her commencement speech, and he puts it to music. I have spoken to it a couple of times. There's lots of really, really good advice in it. And I talk about, you know, worry is like trying to solve an algebra problem by chewing bubble gum. That actually comes from this. So I wanted to share this today. I've never done that before, but I'd like to share it with you all today.
Ladies and gentlemen of the class of '97, wear sunscreen.
Everybody's free to feel good. What a great message. Everybody's free to feel good. No matter what our life has looked like in the past, no matter what our life looks like today, no matter what we're afraid it's going to look like tomorrow, we have the choice and the freedom to control our lives and our experience right now. You know, not all of us grew up with parents like mine, or a father like mine anyway. I'll say my mother, wonderful woman, but my dad, not so nice. He was an ugly drunk. And not everybody grew up like that, right? But it was really easy for me to blame an awful lot of my experience on him. And at some point, you know, I had to start taking responsibility for my own life and my choices that I made based on my experiences, right? But some of us have children who are now rebelling against us. And we too have to be patient and tolerant and kind and loving while they are experiencing that. It doesn't seem like it's fair, does it? Doesn't seem like it's fair. But we can trust that God is with us, God is with them, and that we're all living what we need to be experiencing today, including them, right? I would love more than anything to be able to go to every 16-year-old on the planet and say, guess what? Your life is yours. You get to do whatever you want to do with your life. It does not matter where you came from, who your parents are, where you live today. You and God can do it, no matter what. In Genesis, God tells us we have dominion over our life on this planet. We have dominion over all the things crawling on the earth, all the things flying in the air, all the things growing from the planet. We have dominion. We have responsibility. Our responsibility. If we can recognize that we really have that responsibility, we can heal no matter what has happened. And the reason I think that's so important, the reason I'm like really, really wanting us all to experience that healing is because we can grow further and farther and greater in our love for God, love for each other, if we can heal from our past. Wednesday night, we're going to start a summer series, a book. Oh, I wanted to show you. I found something. Actually, some loving friends posted this on Facebook. And honestly, I didn't even recognize it as myself. You know, in that he says, you are not as fat as you imagine.
Yeah.
How many of you look back at every stage of your life thinking you were so fat, and then you look back and go, man, if I was only that skinny again, right? And the whole thing about, get to know your parents. Wow, they really are people. Go back and look at their yearbooks. Check them out. Not as your parents, but as people. Get to know your siblings. Quit fighting with your siblings. Love them, because it's going to be important for you to know people who knew you when you were young. And my favorite part is, be good to your knees. You're going to miss them when they're gone. I haven't been able to kneel on anything in a long, long time, and I do actually miss them. But I found a picture of myself at 23. How about that? Now I can tell you that that young lady did not think much of herself at all. I was still heavy in my addiction and in my drinking, and was scared, lost, and abused. And at no time did I look at myself at that time and say, wow, you're beautiful and you could do anything that you want to do with your life. And nobody else said that to me either. And I look at that picture and go, wow, how could she have ever had a bad day? Right? I don't even recognize that as myself. That's why I wish I could tell every young woman, every young man, that they got it. They got the world by the tail. They can do anything that they want to do. Love yourself, love your neighbor, and love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. So Wednesday we're going to start, Wednesday we're going to start, there you go, The Big Leap. Yeah, let's put that up. The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Is anyone familiar with Gay Hendricks? He's a great writer about relationships primarily. I know he's got a million YouTube videos. Great guy. I read this book, The Big Leap, and I'm so excited about this book. We're going to start this on Wednesday. We're going to go through it for 9 weeks. He talks about the zone of genius. You guys ever heard of that? Good. I'm glad that nobody raised their hands. It's so exciting because we're going to get there together. We're going to go through it together. I'm so excited about it. He explains that we live in 4 zones. The zone of incompetence. That's when we're trying to do activities that we're no good at. Anybody ever do those? He says, stop doing them. Stop doing them. Other people are good at them. Stop doing them. The zone of competence. Because we're all really good at a lot of things, right? He said, but the zone of competence, there are a lot of people good at a lot of things. Stop wasting your time doing things that you're just good at. Delegate. Let other people do them. That allows you to move up into your zone of excellence. That's our sweet spot. the zone of excellence. We like to be there because it's a certain set of activities that we excel in, that we could do with one hand tied behind our backs and our eyes closed half the time. But not everybody's good at it. But you are. I could throw a party. I know that sounds silly, but it is seriously one of my areas of excellence. I can event plan like nobody's business. I could put together a dinner party for 10. I could do an evening out for 800. I could do a week conference for hundreds without even thinking hard about it. I work 12 hours. That's my best stretch of work time, is 12 hours. That's my zone of excellence. And I could be there all day long. And people will see, they'll be in the middle of the conference or whatever, they go, aren't you exhausted? You must be exhausted. And I'm just like, I usually go, oh, thank you, and move on, because they don't understand that they would be tired because it's not their area of their zone of excellence, right? But I'm not tired because that's my zone of excellence. But what Gay Hendricks says is, if you stay there where you're comfortable, you'll never move into your zone of genius, which is where we all need to be. That's our specific set of activities that we are meant to do. So we have to move out of where we're comfortable, rise into our genius. And I'm looking so forward to working over the next few weeks with all of us to figure out what is our zone of genius? How do we get there? What could it possibly be? So I'm looking forward to that. But to go there, we have to have healed those wounded spots in ourselves that hold us back, that keep us thinking that we can't do what we can do, that keep us thinking that life isn't good to us and we can't get what we want and we're not going to get what we have, we're not going to keep what we have. All those things, we're not enough, all that stuff, all that information has to go away for us to recognize our zone of excellence and we move into our zone of genius. But I know that we can all do that, and I'm pretty excited about it. So, I'm glad to be home. Thank you all very much.